I'm Noel.
My name's Liam.
At one point in time, Oasis were one of the biggest bands in the world.
We're in a band, we're in a football, we're taking drugs, meeting women and all the rest of it, right? And we won't deny anything that's been written about us. Why should we? They want to write about it, fine.
So how did two brothers that took over the world of rock and roll result in one of the most bitter and fierce rivalries in music there has ever been?
You've been right on about right.
If you think rock and roll, if you think rock and roll, if you think rock and roll, if you think rock and roll,
it's getting arrested. Rock and roll is about being yourself, and I want a fucking photo and shoot her.
rock and roll's about music, music. It's not about you, it's not about me.
I'm angry still, you know what I mean? He split my band up.
I just said, f*** it, that's it, I can't do it anymore.
You don't like each other, man.
Call me, right? Let's see what you've got to say.
It was Oasis till the day I die, you know what I mean?
We were the last. We were the greatest.
Now, if I was to explain everything in extreme detail, this video would be literally hours long. So this isn't going to be a deep dive into the entire lore of the band, but I am going to go over 8 main altercations between the brothers that you could argue created rifts and rivalries that led to the band's demise. In February 1994, Oasis were due to support the band The Verve at a club in Amsterdam. Oasis hadn't even released a single at this point, but just signed to Creation Records the year before. In order to perform, they of course had to cross the North Sea. So they drove around Manchester buying substances before taking an overnight ferry to Amsterdam. With the champagne Jack Daniel slammers in full flow, the band noticed that the ferry was full of West Ham fans. Naturally, if you combine English people and alcohol, Mother Nature does her thing and starts a fight. During this bust-up, everyone in the band apart from Noel got handcuffed and sent down to the bottom of the boat, therefore leading to the band to wake up the next morning to find themselves getting deported and sent back to England. The bust-up resulted in news headlines helping portray the band as rock and roll bad boys. In 1995, John Harris of NME released a single titled Wibbling Rivalry, which was actually just a recording from the previous year of an interview 2 months after the ferry incident. The recording was released in November 1995, just after Oasis released their second album. The recording basically consisted of 14 minutes of Noel and Liam arguing about the ferry ordeal and provides the scent or beginnings of a rivalry.
The thing about getting thrown off ferries, blah blah blah, getting deported is something that I'm not proud about because.
Well, I am now.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're right, well if you're if you're proud about getting thrown off ferries, then why don't you go and support West Ham? Get the f*** out of my band and go be a football hooligan, right? Because we're musicians, right? We're football hooligans.
Because you was in bed.
No, I'm not at all. Listen. No, listen. I'm going to have to say this, Phat, are you going to shut up? These lot think it's rock and roll to get thrown off a ferry, to come into hotel fires, to get everybody at it, and they go, shut up. They start thinking, hey, it's rock and roll. Do you know what my manager said to him? He said, nah, rock and roll is going to Amsterdam, doing your gig, playing your music. That's rock and roll.
The next altercation between the brothers occurred just 6 months after the ferry incident. In September 1994, the band was set to perform at the legendary and historic Whisky A Go-Go in LA. Before the show, the band got f***ed on Walter White's finest products, thinking it was Colombian marching powder. Now under the influence, they still had to perform. However, the show was a complete and utter disaster. Obviously, everyone played terribly, which also saw Liam going off on one, insulting the crowd and arguing with Noel. The natural climax to this resulted in Liam flinging his tambourine at Noel's head. Because of this whole ordeal, Noel f***ed off to San Francisco, essentially leaving the band and staying with a girl for a few days. The tour manager managed to track down Noel's location in San Francisco by looking at his phone bill and who he last rang.
He takes the money and runs. I remember some fucking sopping out coming through the door saying like, how can we go on like brothers? It was like, right off, so that got rolled up and then another line of crystal went up the old fucking tubular bells.
Because of this happening, a big chunk of their US tour had to be cancelled, messing up their first real encounter with US soil. According to the live sound engineer Mark Coyle, everything changed after that. When Noel returned, he went into the studio, writing and basing those few days on the song Talk Tonight. 2 months after this last altercation, in December 1994, Liam stormed off a stage in Glasgow, just 4 songs into the set due to his voice being fucked. The reason for losing his his voice was mostly due to the fact that Liam and the band had spent the previous few days high on marching powder, but being the frontman of the band, it specifically affected his ability to sing. Noel fled to the dressing room to try and convince him to perform, but Liam said if he couldn't perform at 100%, there was no point. This resulted in Noel singing and finishing the show himself. Although daunting because he didn't really sing at this point, Noel thrived off of it. From that point on, Noel's acoustic set became part of Oasis's show, and the energy within the band began to shift, igniting a power struggle within the brothers and band.
And of course, what happened 9 times out of 10 was I'd take over. But the more you'd finish the gigs, the more it enabled him to do it. And then he would just do it at the drop of a hat.
Just give us a minute, right? 1 minute.
Never, ever could not be arsed getting on that stage. I can take massive offence to that.
That's one of the reasons why I had to start doing vocals, you know what I mean? And then I thought, oh, hang on a minute, this is all right. That girl's staring at me, that's even better.
I wonder what, actually, you guys have been doing for a while, Noel's been doing it acoustically. Yeah. How did that come about? How did he
just decided he wanted to do acoustic songs, which is cool. But now when we get back to England, we're going to spread it out, we're going to do them as a band.
You're still having a good time?
Yeah, I'm rocking, yeah. When I'm allowed to do the job, I think's good, yeah, I'm happy. But when I'm not allowed to do the job, I'm not happy.
He's a great songwriter and always will be, but singing's my gig. If you're going to start singing the fucking songs as well as writing them, what am I doing, making the fucking tea?
From this point on, there was always going to be tension between the two. Oasis ex-tour manager Ian Robertson explained what the energy shift was like firsthand.
He's left me to handle Liam, and he goes back on stage to have a chat with the audience. So I've had a chat with Liam, and it's like, no, I'm going back to the hotel. Right, I'll get you back to the hotel. Let me go and explain what's going on. So I walk onto the stage, into his microphone, I say, right, Liam is completely f***ed. I'm going to get him back to the hotel, and then I'll get you back to the hotel. We'll be gone before they even know we've gone. At which point, Noel looks at me like, you good and faithful idiot, you know? Yeah. And he performs acoustically for the first time. He performs a set of his own songs, Oasis songs, acoustically for the first time. And then that was the beginning of the split. Initially, it's a brotherly sibling thing, and the arguments were kind of divided along those sorts of ridiculous lines. So it turned from being the brotherly thing to a genuine power struggle. Yeah.
The next altercation of the brothers is arguably one of the biggest fights in the entire journey of Oasis, and shifts from complex sibling rivalry to physical violence. In June 1995, the band retreated to the remote Rockfield Studios in Monmouthshire, Wales, to record What's the Story? Morning Glory. One day during recording, Liam went to the pub, got pissed, and brought back a load of random people he just met at the pub. Naturally, a fight breaks out between the band and the people Liam brought back, after they drunkenly told him that the new album sounded shit. Surrounded by chaos, the brothers got in a scuffle. However, after one of Noel's guitars got damaged, Noel hit Liam over the head with a cricket bat.
He's doing his guitars, he'll be in there all fucking day, won't he, Slash? We could go to a fucking pub. Yeah, I probably did bring a few people back one night.
Probably a bad move, because Noel's still working at the studio.
No, I shouldn't have brought them back, but I thought we were a rock and roll band, you know what I mean? I thought anything goes in Oasis, you know what I mean? Obviously other people had rules, you know what I mean? I f***ed the rules, man.
I remember smashing his head in with a cricket bat.
The whole studio got smashed to pieces. There's like loads of little bits in the corner going, everything just got f***ing blitzed.
I'm not generally an obnoxious, belligerent dude, but somebody must have got on my tits, you know what I mean?
Probably me not giving a f***, and him trying to write Bohemian Rhapsody, and me sort of just going, bollocks, let's have it.
In August 1996, Oasis was set to perform at MTV Unplugged. Ahead of the show, Liam only turned up to 3 of the rehearsals over a 2-week period, performing only a few songs before leaving. On the day of the show, Liam refused to perform, just an hour before going on stage, citing a sore throat as the problem. In reality, he was pissed and had been out for the last few days. This resulted in Noel once again singing, leaving Liam to sit up on the balcony and heckle Noel during the performance. At the end of the gig, Liam decided to come down to do the encore, but got told to piss off by Noel. A few days later, Liam refused to join the band for the long-awaited US tour, saying he was trying to buy a house, so Noel was on vocals for the first few shows. However, Liam eventually rejoined.
Yeah, and I had to go and get an house. Find a house. 2 things, laryngitis, nowhere to live.
Some people here are saying you've got an arrogant attitude.
Oh, I have. That's what makes Oasis, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
That's not...
Liam, no problems with you and Noel?
No, me and our kid are sweet, you know what I mean? I just had problems at home, you know, finding an house, had a sore throat. couldn't come to America. That is it. Me and our kid are sweet.
Soon after his flamboyant arrival in America, Oasis performed at the MTV VMAs, where Liam spent a large portion of the song slagging off the American audience. A few days later, Noel flew home without the band, but soon made up after and completed the US tour. However, it was especially disappointing, seeing as they just fucked up another US tour, which ultimately led to them losing favour and becoming unpopular among many US fans. The next altercation occurred in the year 2000. During an evening of drinking in Barcelona, Liam questioned the legitimacy of Noel's daughter. Therefore, a punch-up between the brothers ensued. This resulted in Noel leaving the band for the rest of the overseas shows, with Gem Archer taking over as lead guitarist. In a 2005 interview with The Guardian, Noel stated, "I've never forgiven him because he never apologised. He's my brother, but he's at an arm's length until he apologises for what he's done." The next altercation was the lowest point of the band, according to Noel. In July 2000, on the second of 2 nights performing at Wembley Stadium, Liam came out shit-faced, having been out the night before. Liam spent the whole concert sounding terrible and ranting about his ex-wife, as they just filed for divorce.
If you're gonna do Wembley last time, might as well do it pissed out your ass, yeah? In and out of it. I ain't no fucking celebrity. I ain't no fanny. I ain't no dickhead, man. I'm a rock star. I don't fucking ass up that.
Speaking to Radio X in 2017, Noel said, "That was the low point of Oasis. It was a horrible 2.5 hours on stage. Liam can hang his head in shame. It was even more annoying for the rest of the band, due to the fact the first night went great, but apparently the second night was the one being broadcast live around the world and recorded for the DVD. Liam told Radio X in a recent interview that that incident was the reason why he stopped drinking on stage. The final altercation is the crescendo of Oasis, but also a major punch amongst jabs of sibling rivalry. During 2008 and 2009, the Dig Out Your Soul tour was riddled with bad tempers all the way through, with Noel stating that it all started to go downhill when Liam wanted to promote his clothing brand Pretty Green in the tour program.
It kind of all started to unravel, if I'm being honest, when he started his clothing label and he demanded that in the Oasis tour program that he be allowed to advertise it, which I was against, because I didn't think that it was right for him to be flogging his gear to our fans, and there was a massive row about that. It kind of went back and forward for a bit, as I remember it, and in the end I said, all right, well if you want to advertise in the program, how much? And he couldn't get his head around that, and I was like, well, if Electrolux kettles, want to advertise kettles in the tour program, they pay us money, right? So how much are you going to pay me? And he hit the roof, and it slowly went downhill from there.
It was reported at the time, and since been confirmed by both of them, that Noel and Liam were separate during the entire tour, due to their bitter feelings between the two of them. Everywhere from tour buses, dressing rooms, the brothers wouldn't be seen together. In early 2009, during an interview with Q magazine, Noel gave one of his most iconic quotes about Liam. He's rude, arrogant, intimidating, and lazy. He's the angriest man you'll ever meet. He's like a man with a fork in a world of soup. On the 23rd of August 2009, Liam contracted laryngitis, and Oasis subsequently had to cancel their V Festival appearance. However, Noel claimed in 2011 that in reality he had a hangover, a claim that Liam sued Noel for, but Liam did eventually drop the lawsuit. Just 5 days later, on the 28th of August, according to Liam, while on the way to Paris, Noel was on the phone to a journalist from The Sun, spilling the beans about the band, something which Liam didn't take too kindly to.
When we was on the train to Paris, Noel was just sat down the back on the phone to Gordon Smart, out of The Sun, telling him what goes down and what we've been up to. Oh yeah, and Liam's like just spilling the beans on the band. It's like you're working for the Sun. So we get there, and I've had a word with him about something, and he's had a word with me about something, and he's jumped on my guitar, smashed it up, which was a present, which means nothing to a lot of people, but it meant a lot to me.
The argument started in the dressing room, before performing at a festival in Paris that they were headlining. Liam stormed out the room and came back with one of Noel's guitars, wielding it like an axe and smashing it to pieces. Noel claimed it nearly took his head off, resulting in Noel going out to the car park and sitting down for 5 minutes, contemplating what he was going to do. He came to the conclusion that he needed to leave, ultimately splitting breaking up Oasis, cancelling the Paris show and the rest of the tour. That very same evening, a statement from Noel on the Oasis website appeared, stating, "It's with some sadness and a great relief to tell you that I quit Oasis tonight. People will write and say what they like, but I simply could not go on working with Liam a day longer."
It's a real unnecessary violent act, and he's swinging this guitar around, and he kind of, he nearly took my face off with it, and it ended up on the floor. I put it out of its misery, Then I said, well, look, there was people who were in the band not saying anything, kind of looking the other way. It wasn't even a big dressing room, do you know what I mean? We were all involved in it and nobody was saying anything. So I was like, you know what, I'm fucking out of here. At that point the tour manager came in and just went, 5 minutes. I kind of got in the car and I sat there for 5 minutes and I just said, fuck it, that's it, I can't do it anymore, I regret it really, because we only had 2 gigs left. If I had my time again, I'd have gone back and done the gigs. That gig would have been dreadful because he was out of his mind, I'd have done that gig and I'd have done the next gig and we'd have all gone away and we could have probably discussed it, what we were going to do.
Despite the band breaking up after years of resentment between the brothers, the rivalry didn't end and remained inflamed. In the wake of Oasis, the brothers created their own respective bands, with Noel calling his band High Flying Birds and Liam creating BDI. They both achieved variable levels of success with their bands, with Noel's first 3 albums peaking at number 1 in the UK charts and BDI peaking at number 3 and number 2 with their first 2 albums. However, there's a general feeling amongst many fans that whilst the songs are decent enough, it wasn't really the same as Oasis and the buzz deteriorated with each release. In 2016, the iconic Supersonic documentary was released. The film went over multiple timelines and stories of the Gallagher brothers and the rise of the band. It also included a lot of instances where they both praised each other and realised that Oasis needed both of them to become what it became.
I hate the term sibling rivalry, but that's effectively what it is. I know my brother better than anybody else. Liam's like a dog, and I'm like a cat. Cats are very independent creatures. They don't give a f***. Right bastards. Dogs, it's just play with me, please. Throw that ball for me. We fucking need some company. It's as basic as that. Can't change the way that you are.
Following the Supersonic documentary, there was an evident surge of interest in Oasis again, particularly amongst the younger generation, who saw Noel and Liam as working class heroes. That has been severely lacking for this generation of people, particularly in music. In the same year as the release of Supersonic, Liam signed a record deal and started recording new material, which would eventually become his debut solo album, As You Were. On the 30th of May 2017, Liam played his first show as a solo artist at a sold-out Manchester Ritz, a day after the Manchester bombing. Liam would subsequently perform as a surprise guest at the One Love benefit concert in Manchester to play Live Forever with Coldplay's Chris Martin. The following day after the concert, Liam hit out at Noel with tweets apologising for his absence. In response to these tweets, Noel responded in an interview with the Sunday Times, stating, "He needs a psychiatrist. I don't say this is a joke because young Mancunians, young music fans were slaughtered and he, twice, takes it somewhere to be about him. He needs to see somebody." This One Love performance put Liam back on the map in a big way. He started to get a lot of media attention, radio play and bigger shows. He even got a last minute slot at Glastonbury which was packed, and also won a lot of popularity points with older fans because Liam was playing old Oasis songs, something which Noel didn't really do. So with Liam coming back into the mainstream spotlight, Liam constantly mentions in interviews that he's ready to go if Oasis were to get back together, and it basically becomes a bit of a theme throughout the years that Liam wanted it and Noel didn't.
Yeah, it's very sweet. No, I just thought, you know what, can't do any harm, can it, wishing him happy birthday? And plus, I want to remind everyone that he's old, not as young as me.
But you could just say, come on, bruv.
We have done that. I don't think he wants it, man, you know what I mean? He's quite happy in his solo world, you know what I mean? He's in charge of everything, you know what I mean? And like, if I get in the way, you know what I mean? He's got a bit of, he can't tell me what to do, I'm not a yes man, so I think he's quite happy doing his thing, so...
Not a yes man is a bit of an understatement, isn't it?
Well, I'm definitely not a yes man. So, with all these people going to wish you'd get back together, I'm ready to go, man. So, it's all down to him, and I'm not putting the blame on him, but he's the one that doesn't want it.
Over the next few years, the two would take shots at each other every few months in various interviews and tweets.
Twitter is the playground of fucking idiots. I would love to find out the percentage of single males with Twitter accounts. I would fucking hazard a guess. It's quite high.
Well, you know our president is on Twitter quite
Well, and so is my fucking brother. And quite literally, I put the pair of them in a driverless car each so it fucking ran into each other.
This back and forth escalated in 2018 and 2019 when Liam goes off on one, apparently threatening Noel's wife and daughter. Noel, whose Twitter is nearly always left to his management to run, posted screenshots of tweets of Liam threatening his wife via his daughter Aeneas. Adjacent to the threat was Noel's reply to Liam, which included a flex of hiring Ross Kemp as a bodyguard for his cat in case Liam tried to kidnap him. 2 months later, Liam is interviewed and gives his version of events. He said, "I threatened his wife. I didn't threaten his wife. If you threaten someone, you have to say, if you do this, this is going to happen. I probably shouldn't have brought Aeneas into it, and I apologise. Noel's wife called me fat, which hurt my feelings. I have a belly. It's well paid for, but I'm not fat." One thing you have to say about the Oasis separation is that their comments at each other were hilarious. Comedian Bill Burr even argued that not only were they one of the best bands of all time, they were arguably 2 of the funniest comedians Britain has ever produced. In November 2019, Noel appeared on Apple Music with an interview with Zane Lowe. Zane mentioned to Noel that Liam spoke kindly of him when he was recently on the show, but Noel stopped him.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
That doesn't me because he's on Twitter probably right now saying the exact opposite. So it doesn't mean anything. If he's in here on camera, right, playing to the gallery, fine, good, right? Actually, when it matters, when he's abusing my wife and my kids, it's like, no, you don't get to do both. Do you know what I mean? It's like, either be a and own it, right, or don't be a.
Yeah, he thinks
You know
it's
what I mean?
banter. He thinks it's just he thinks it's all part of a thing.
All right, well, when I eventually see him, he'll realise it's not banter.
For fans seeing this, hoping for a reunion, it kind of knocked the idea out of their head of it ever happening. In November 2020, Liam was interviewed on the Jonathan Ross show about a possible Oasis reunion, and for the first time seems to have accepted that Oasis are never getting back together.
Like a lot of people, I am thinking it's a shame. It does feel to me like Oasis, we're never going to see Oasis together again.
No, well, never mind. It's not going to happen, is it? You know, who cares anyway? You know what I mean, I know for a fact there's nothing left on the table, really, you know what I mean?
Well,
because we did have a good crack, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, like, I can sit there like when I mate you and go, oh, we should have done that when I was in a band. We did everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You had the full experience.
Well, mate, we didn't leave anything on the table, like nothing.
The only reason I asked those because I know there was a period when I got the feeling you wanted to. You liked the idea of going
well,
back
when someone offers £100 million to do a few gigs and that, man, you're going to sort of go, all right then, yeah.
Was that the offer?
But there's a lot of money knocking about, isn't there? So, like, you know what I mean?
It wasn't 100 million, was it?
It was £100 million to do like a tour and that, and I'm thinking, what? I'm not a dickhead, you know what I mean? I'll have a bit of that.
And so Noel has that much of a problem with working with that he turned down 100 million.
Yeah, well, he's not into it, is he?
2 years later, in May 2021, Noel appeared on the Jonathan Ross show himself and stated that it was bollocks that they got offered £100 million to come back.
When Liam was on the show, he claimed that you had been offered 100 million to perform together again as Oasis.
Yeah.
Which sounds extraordinary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily untrue, but is that true?
Why do you say it's not necessarily untrue? Because it is untrue.
Divorces are a common theme with both of the brothers. In January 2023, Noel and his second wife divorced, with Noel allegedly owing her £20 million as part of the settlement. But by March of the same year, the rumour mill really ramped up.
He's got my number. Got my manager's number. Call us.
Liam quickly responded to Noel's comments, of course via Twitter, essentially stating that he had a lot of making up to do. The following month, during an interview with TalkSport, he reiterated his point.
He's forever going on about it. You'd have thought by now he'd have some kind of plan. If he's got a plan, he should get someone to call. He doesn't even have to speak to me. He won't speak to me. I know he won't speak to me. He's a coward. He should get some of his people, his agent, to call my people and say, look, this is what we're thinking.
In June 2023, Liam then responded when further questioned about a possible reunion during an interview with Radio 2.
Our kid's been called many times to get the band back together. Now I won't be calling him, he'll be calling me. He split the band up on his terms and I'll be getting it back together on my terms. And I'm a reasonable person, but I'm very good friends with the universe, and we have ways of making it happen, because it will come round to him calling me. I don't sit there and go, it's going to happen next week, trust me, like that. I think it will happen.
Through 2024, the feeling between the two mellowed out, as neither really started going for each other and even started saying nice things about one another. Liam even dedicated the song Half the World Away to Noel a few times during his tour. On the 24th of July, Liam posted a reply to a fan on Twitter, claiming he was doing a photo shoot, and another saying there's big things happening but can't say much. However, fans didn't think too much of it, as he'd been on the wind-up plenty of times in the past. On the 22nd of August 2024, Oasis's YouTube channel posted a 30-minute interview with Noel, where he talks about Definitely Maybe to commemorate the 30-year anniversary. In the interview, Noel is seemingly the most complimentary of Liam he had been since the band's split, with a lot of people mentioning this in the comments. Very soon afterwards, all of the top media outlets started publishing articles that Oasis were reuniting for a tour in summer 2025. Most fans assumed it was paper talk, as there'd been reunion talk for years. However, on the 25th of August 2024, Liam headlined Reading Festival. At the end of his set, a message appears on the big screen, with a date and time with the Oasis logo, fueling speculation that a spectacular reunion was actually happening. 2 days later, on the 27th of August, Oasis announced Oasis Live 25, starting with a round of UK dates which will turn into a world tour at a later date. The band's statement read, "The guns have fallen silent, the stars have aligned, the great wait is over. Come see, it will not be televised." Just 4 days later, the tickets went on sale. However, in the run-up to the jumble sale, ticketing companies made it very clear that you couldn't resell scalped tickets over the original price. But by the time the tickets got released on Ticketmaster, the price went from £150 to £358. This is called dynamic pricing. So not only did people experience constant crashing, being kicked to the back of the queue after waiting hours, being told they're bots, they also got shifted out of an extra £150. Most people's problem with the dynamic pricing situation was the lack of transparency. Ticketmaster claimed that the band set the price and also made the decision to trigger dynamic pricing, which, when you think about it, is a bit of a cop-out because they're the ones who make it an option in the first place. On the 4th of September 2024, the band released an official statement regarding the ticket situation. It needs to be made clear that Oasis leave decisions on ticketing and pricing entirely to their promoters and management. We, at no time, had any awareness that dynamic pricing was going to be used. Oasis's management stated, while prior meetings between promoters, Ticketmaster and the band's management resulted in a positive ticket sales strategy, which would be a fair experience for fans, including dynamic ticketing to help keep general ticket prices down, as well as reduce touting. The execution of the plan failed to meet expectations. All parties involved did the utmost to deliver the best possible fan experience, but due to the unprecedented demand, this became impossible to achieve. By the 5th of September 2024, the Competitions and Markets Authority launched a probe into whether Ticketmaster breached the consumer protection laws. The following day, Liam returned to Twitter for the first time since the announcement, winding everyone and their dog up about the tickets. A lot of people who are pissed off about the money side of things feel like the brothers are just after cash, citing Noel's divorce costs and forgetting their working class roots. In a podcast with Richard Osman, he came up with some good reasons as to why Oasis may be going back on tour, mainly because Noel can soon sell his publishing rights for an obscene amount of money. The story of Oasis and the Gallagher brothers is perhaps the most public and complex sibling rivalry there has ever been. But when you create something that's bigger than both yourself and your brother and positively affected millions of people around the world, you can easily put your differences aside when hundreds of millions of pounds is on the line. Thank you so much for watching this video, it really does mean a lot to me. Make sure to follow me on all of my socials at Phat Mima, like, subscribe and comment below what you want to see next.